that's that. But now we have the freedom to do other kinds of badges. This is one of my soft skills badges. I just reserve it as my Kyle Peck Wow badge. When somebody just impresses me, just knocks my socks off, I follow up and send them the Kyle Peck Wow badge. And inside the description says what it was they did to impress me, and they can just do with that what they want. Usually it's just kind of a thank you or a collaborator. I had a Kyle's coveted collaborator badge too. But so the thing is, badges can be used for serious, major accomplishments. They can also be used to talk about things that we can't really measure, that are really important in the world. And a lot of the engaged scholarship content kind of falls into this category too. Like, how do we really know if they develop some of those really interesting things that you talked about before? They're kind of hard to measure. But every time we think we see some example of that, like empathy, and by the way, I really like the idea of students being able to give out badges as well. If, I'm 3 days behind because my grandmother got sick, and somebody steps in and says, let me mow your lawn so you can study, or something like that. That's empathy. And I would say, here's Edgar's empathy badge. And then somebody else gives them an empathy badge, somebody else gives them an empathy badge. He's got 3 empathy badges. The chances are pretty good, but that's kind of a way of life, right? So, soft skills possible too. Kyle Peck's giving out a WOW badge, and I'm giving out this, brain surgery badge, right? Those are 2 pretty different things. Shouldn't there be like levels, and you have to be, or I had a great conversation with some colleagues about all badges should be worth the same. So we need to make sure that these will take at least, like, let's just say 15 hours at least to get a badge. And people are going like, no, that's not it. By the way, a lot of the conversation along those lines came from people outside education. We're saying, you guys have made all the rules forever. This is our thing. This came out of the programmer community, by the way, where a lot of computer programmers teach themselves whole new languages, and they develop expertise, and they have nothing to show for it. So they created this idea of badges, and they created Code Academy and some other places where they can go and demonstrate their work and get certified by peers. And so they've created their own sort of version of this. So there's great resistance, and I'm one of the resistors to saying a badge should be at least this big, because after all, if it's a serious badge, you're going to know as soon as you click and see the criteria. So you're 1 click away, and usually you find out with the artwork. So I try and take pride in the artwork. If I want my badges to be perceived instantly as a serious badge, I say, let's get an artist to do this. You don't want me designing the logo. In fact, you'll have an opportunity to earn a badge soon. And I took an artist's work and slapped some of my own, touches on top, which made it look trivial. But so I think that you have some visual cues, and you have instant text in the middle. And it's 1 click away to evaluate badges. So back to your hierarchy of badges or taxonomy of badges. Yes, there are lots of conversations about that too. We were actually one of the first to really develop levels of badges. I'm wearing this shirt today. This is from a project that Penn State ran for NASA education. And we started using badges for STEM teacher professional development. And we said we had 2 levels of badges. We called one stamps and one badges. We're using a travel metaphor. We called it teacher learning journeys. And I said like passport stamp, like chunk chunk, right? You've got that, been there, done that. So that was going to be the low level, and was the low level. Then we had badges, which were like if you go beyond that. So you could learn about NASA, how to apply NASA stuff in the classroom. If you didn't go that next step and develop a lesson plan and use it with kids and post a reflection that somebody else talked to you about, then you didn't get the badge, you got the stamp. And we did that for 2 reasons. We didn't want to take people deep in something they didn't really think was right for their kids. Right? So they might invest 2 hours understanding this and assessing whether or not it's the right thing. We didn't want them just to get the badge to go ahead and implement it anyway. But we wanted to have reserved status for something that is probably going to affect positively student learning. Foundation to the Mozilla Foundation to build the software core that people can take and adapt to create their own badge issuing software and badge displaying software. Badge displayers for places like Facebook and LinkedIn, they're starting to use badges. If you haven't noticed, that's starting to come on. And then badge owners, badge holders there's some software that helps them out too, and I'll show you in just a minute. So, again, I think we should be able to use this to validate the significance of out-of-class activity. If we care about what we do, and we do a great job of helping people understand that badges is one way we can really help the public understand the value of what it is we do in Engaged Scholarship. Addresses. So I could have one set of badges associated with my Gmail account, another with my Penn State account. I'm old and I don't need to protect my reputation, so I will put all my badges with my Penn State one. It makes for a better demo too. You start out, it shows you the recent badges that you've earned, or you can look at everything. These are all the badges you've earned. A lot of those, by the way, come from my students in classes or people in workshop like this who create badges, so don't think, whoa, he's got a lot of badges. He's important. A lot of those badges don't mean much. Some do, but some don't. And you can upload a badge. Somebody can give you a file that you can upload into this backpack if you want to combine them from other places. Most of the time, as you'll see in a moment, when you're issued a badge, you can export it to the backpack. So it's a one-step process and you don't ever actually have to hold that file. But if you want it to be in possession of all your records rather than having them be on the cloud somewhere, like this backpack is in the cloud somewhere. I don't know where or what. So I could keep those before I put them up. That's what the upload piece is for. The cool part to me, see this badges or collections. If I click on collections, it shows a set of collections that I've made here. These are my teamwork and collaboration badges, flipped classroom badges. I think I can make that look a little better if I shrink it a little. No, it still doesn't fit. So here's how you create a collection. Here's how easy it is and why you'd want to do it. If I want to create a badge here called Engaged Scholarship Badges, I might just take, let's say I clicked on a badge. So now I can go here and go out to the organization that issued it. I can go see the criteria, I can see the evidence, that sort of thing. So that's where the links come in. Let's say I wanted to take some of these systems thinking, one of the things you mentioned, if I'm going to do an Engaged Scholarship collection, put one in and I can call it Engaged Scholarship. I should probably spell it right if I want it to be impressive. And then multicultural awareness, another one we have here. Civic responsibility. These are some badges that I might consider part of this collection. Here was the fourth checkbox. And then I click this, and it makes a web page with those three badges and only those three badges. And if I want to share that with you or with my Facebook page, I just copy that, I post that to Facebook, and boom, anybody can get there. Or I put that in a cover letter, and I've just taken those micro-credentials, combined them in a way that makes sense to a potential employer or recipient with no work that required any technical expertise other than copying a link, copying and pasting a link. And it could be that pretty soon often now you see a button for copy the link, like on YouTube or whatever. So they could even make that easier. But now I can go ahead and send that to people, and I have just created a custom collection in, I don't know if that took 30 seconds or not, of software that institutions can take and then create their own badging engine with that. And badging, by the way, has been added to Blackboard. It's been added to Canvas in a way that I hear is less than satisfactory, but that's being redone. That's being reworked. So the badging in Canvas is going to be recreated. So badges are going to become integrated into learning management systems. So some of that will be taken care of. But I can show you now, one of the next couple of things I want to do is we can talk about that. I want to show you a couple of quick examples, then we'll go look at how to make a badge, and then we'll start making one together so you see how easy it's filling out a form basically to make a badge. And then I'll have you apply for a badge and issue a badge to you so you can get the email and see what happens from there. Yes?
We mentioned the LMS integration, but many of our student affairs professionals are also using various platforms in which to document and represent activities that are occurring out of the classroom. Do you know of any collaboration currently with other programs such as, I think, OrgSync, maybe one? I'm not familiar with
I don't know about that, but
it seems like this particular platform and this approach is wonderful because I could see it being used equally in both places to help present a more comprehensive view of student learning in KSAs.
Yeah.
when you think of like the co-curricular transcript, we're all trying to do that. I don't think anyone's doing it particularly well yet. This is really clever.
Yeah, that sounds like this would be a good fit.
Yeah.
You know more about that than I do, so I'm not really in a good position to interpret that. Okay, so this is one slide I saw earlier. This person down in the corner is Beverly Oliver. She's the like CEO, CIO, head of Deakin University in Australia. She did she was supposed to come here for a presentation, but travel got her stuck, and so she did it remotely. So I cropped it a little so it'd be easier to read, but that's her. That's her. And she's wonderful and very innovative in taking this university to. It's meant to fulfill an economic geography requirement for future elementary school teachers, where they're supposed to know that geography affects economics, geography and economics affect culture, and geography, economics, and culture affect the adoption of technologies in teaching. So we do case studies from around the world. But systems thinking is one of the things that I introduced them to. And so there's a systems thinking badge. There's an understanding e-learning badge. What is it and what are the things that measure it? And there'll be about 4 badges as we move through the course. So, yeah. Right, so this is one of the university discussions that needs to happen. And we're at the point where we're having those discussions now, trying to figure out, how serious do we want to be? When we tell somebody that'll be there, how serious will it be? I'm going to show you now. Do you want more time to work on your answer, or do you want me to go ahead and continue the demo?
Just a comment, I would prefer to use this for P&T in lieu of digital measures.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, how fun.
That was awesome.
Yeah, you have to be able to get different committee members, P&T committee members, back on the college committee for the first time in a long time.
You gotta hop on the clue bus.
Yeah. Okay, so, yes, question?
Question, or just posted in my reflection there. I don't know if you're going to cover it later or not. Is this software application free? How are institutions managing this? Because my sense is that other places are anything like us, and we're fairly mid-sized, maybe bordering small compared to Penn State. For us, the bottom line is always, what's the cost? What's the licensing fee? Where's the tech support? Who's going to manage this?
Right.
And we're very interested in it, but it's a resource.
So the Mozilla Foundation puts the core software that it develops in the repository. What's the name of the repository, Edgar? Do you know? There's a place where they share, where open source software engineers share their GitHub, right? GitHub. So it's out on GitHub. You can download it. Your organization can download it. But then you will need a team of people to sort of turn it in and put an interface around it. Or if your institution can't really do that and you're using a Canvas or Blackboard or something like that, badging is kind of built into those applications. I don't know whether those automatically store, whether universities have the ability in those systems to say, store all the artifacts forever or not, or whether they let you put on videos. We believe that this is going to be important to universities, and so we're sort of piloting this idea and storing everything, letting people give us big files, and figuring that we will figure that out as we go. But if you don't have the development expertise, you should be able to buy a product and implement it, but it's also being built into different course management systems.
We do have we do have that through CSU Online.
Oh, great. So you're using through CSU Online, yeah. So that demonstration of that about 2 months ago. I was very impressed. Done good things. Yes?
We were just chatting. This almost seems like it's the next step to e-portfolio. Is it instead of, in addition to? Is it, how are people using it in that capacity?
Yeah. So it in a way, each badge is like a mini portfolio, right? And a badge, a compilation of badges is a portfolio. It's sort of a really flexible sort of mix and match e-portfolio creation tool. So we're having those conversations, and our current president just came from Florida State, where they developed a big e-portfolio tool for students because they wanted, again, to help their students represent everything they knew and could do well to employers and so on. And so, yeah, I think this goes a long way in solving that problem. Yes?
There's a private company that has a product out called Merit Pages, and it does a lot of this.
Right. This is our lead design team leader. We'll pass it on to And then it comes with a default image, but I can change that image. So we have a little badge generator here. You can choose a color, you can choose a service learning. None of these really look like you choose categories. Health and medicine might be, there might be some interesting ones. Service learning.
Brain.
You want the brain here? Okay, cool, thank you. I would continue shopping maybe and have more time. Or, so right now you'll see that it's got the orange and the brain. We can change the, you can move those around and put those together. So, I'm kind of fond of that one. It looks pretty good that way. Or if you make your own artwork, you just click here and point to the file, and it'll upload that file. Looks for a PNG graphic to bring that in. So you can bring up your own artwork that way. And then you return to the badge details, and now it has that. So then I go back to the badge, return to the badge details, and now a description of the badge. So here's where I say this badge is, or represents, a person who has what? Stop when I get to the hard part. Right? Okay, so I like what you're doing there. So, and this is what I did with those ones I showed you before, the systems thinking or civic responsibility. When I came in here, I would start by saying service learning is. And then I would fill out that definition. So I would say service learning is da-da-da-da-da-da. The recipient of this badge submitted evidence that was approved, that was documented as fitting that definition. And then, read on to find out what it is that person did. Okay, so let's pretend I typed in that definition. We go in here, so the type of badge, is it open? So this means anybody can find it. You know how you said explore and said here's some new things? But you can say, no, I don't want to evaluate everybody's thing. I only want to evaluate people from my class or from my whatever. So we added a groups feature, right, to our thing, so where you can have a group. And so I can download from my course management system a class list and upload it into this system and create a group and push badges out to everybody in that group and say these badges are only available to the people that I put in that group. Or I can say, it's restricted or it's open. So we'll say it's open right now so you guys can see what we're done. Professional, we have category, professional skills, whatever. Again, we might want to have an engaged scholarship section in here, and I'll see if I can get that added. For now, we'll call it, I'm from education, I'll call it education. I shouldn't though, because now, see, there's also a place where I can look at my profile, and it's a bar chart. I'm like all education and nothing else right now. But that's all right. So, steps to earn this badge. So we can add steps now. So, I have a step library of all the steps I've created from other badges, because if I had like a reflect on what you just did step, I could just copy that over and then say reflect on and take the what and put in service learning, the service learning project you engaged in, and then so I can move it. So you can create a new step, or you can pull one from your library of steps to make it easier to create or recreate badges. So I'm going to say create a new step. The step title is describe. Now I always say, instead of just describe your service learning project, I say describe your service learning project, being sure to include an explanation of how this fits the definition of service learning, which is this. So they would say, well, if service learning has to be about making contribution outside the university, I can say it was a contribution outside the university in that we did this. So first describe it. I would probably try and craft this to say, talk to me about your learning project first, and then, check all the boxes. Make sure that you describe how it is this, that, and the other. Because I want them to get a holistic thing first. I don't just want them to make up 4 sentences that hit my 4 buttons, right? So you just describe this step, and then you have this is a step title, describe the project. And here I would give them a longer describe the project, be sure to do this, that, and the other, or service learning is really all about this. And Then you have an embedded content type. So you can embed video in here, so it's kind of like, can be like a course management system. You could provide instruction here. If I say it's video, then you have the video URL. You bring in a YouTube video. Right now it's just YouTube because YouTube will automatically create a version that's right for whatever device they're looking at. So she's using a cell phone back there, I'm not. There are Macs and Windows and different browsers and all that. So we would put, thank you. Okay, thanks. Appreciate it. So you put a YouTube